Chapter 5. The evening air in Almaty carried a strange chill, seeping through nerves, settling heavily on the skin. Alexander walked back towards the rental apartment slowly, his steps uneven, his mind spinning in circles he couldn't escape. Each corner he turned only pushed him deeper into his thoughts. Max's face, Layla's cold expression in court, the judge's dismissive tone, and the suspicious men watching him as he had stepped out of Abzel's office. He replayed everything like a loop he couldn't stop. Layla's accusations, her refusal to look him in the eye, her insistence that Max needed to be protected. He still couldn't wrap his head around it. The sidewalk was filled with the low sound of passing cars, but none of it reached him. All he could feel was the weight of something shifting very quietly, but decisively against him. He felt genuinely unsure of what the next hour would bring, let alone the next week. He pressed a hand to his forehead. Why would she go this far? Why uproot Max, drag him across continents, hide him, block calls, file false accusations, twist the courts? Why break shared custody as if it meant nothing? Only one answer made sense now, one he had resisted admitting until this moment. She wanted Max for herself entirely. She wanted complete control. He swallowed hard. His throat felt tight. She wanted to shape Max the way she decided, wanting no interference, no arguments. And if she was willing to lie in court, twist his reputation, fabricate stories of emotional neglect, what else was she prepared to do? His heart clenched painfully. The thought of Max growing up without him, thinking his father abandoned him, him being raised under pressure, bitterness, and resentment, losing the balance they had built with each other through their fun weekends, movie nights, and little routines, it made Alexandra's stomach twist so violently he had to stop walking for a moment. A car honked somewhere behind him and he stepped aside without even noticing where he was. He couldn't let that happen, he wouldn't. Even if the whole country seemed to be siding with her, he resumed walking, faster now, hands buried in his pockets, head down. He passed by the loud and tall buildings, hearing a distant sound of laughter filtered from a calf terrace. The contrast felt cruel. He thought of Max's small voice on the phone just a few days before, the excitement about the weekend, the way he had said, "Papa, don't forget, okay?" and Alexander had promised. He never broke promises. His chest tightened. He kept seeing the way Max smiled when he talked about space documentaries or robots or Alexandra's AI model. Max had named his new model Lumiere, his idea, his spark, his joy. To think that Layla could erase all of that. He couldn't let her, but what terrified him most wasn't Layla. It was this growing sense that something much bigger was happening underneath it all, something he still couldn't understand but could feel inching closer. He reached his apartment building and paused before entering, looking up at the dimly lit balcony. He inhaled deeply. He didn't know why, but the walk home had made one thing certain, that he had to brace himself for whatever was meant to come his way. As he climbed the staircase, Alexander felt a strange unease sharpen inside his chest. Everything was about to shift again, and this time he might not be ready. Alexander reached into his pocket for the keys, rubbing the metal between his fingers as he approached the door. That was when he saw it. The door wasn't closed. It was slightly ajar, open by barely an inch, but undeniably open. A cold spike of panic shot through his spine. His breath hitched. He hadn't left it like that. He never left it like that. He pushed a hand gently against the wood. It creaked softly, swinging inward. His pulse pounded against his ribs. The lights were on. He stepped inside slowly, scanning the space around him. The living room looked extremely wrong. The coffee table had papers scattered across it, papers he hadn't touched this morning. The chairs had been moved. Cushions lay on the floor and the lamp was weakly dangling from the table in the corner. He forced himself inside, heart thundering. On the kitchen counter, his mug from the morning had been pushed aside. Drawers were left partially open. His suitcase, which he hadn't even unpacked properly, had its zipper halfway undone. None of it made sense. He rushed towards the bedroom. All his documents lay scattered across the bed, his birth certificate, Max's school papers, copies of the shared custody agreement. Printed emails, court documents, records, all spread out like someone had sifted through them slowly, intentionally. The sheets were rumpled. His backpack was open, the inside turned out. He lunged for the folder containing Max's documents and flipped it open, breath shaking. Nothing was missing. He checked the envelope where he kept emergency cash. All the money was still there. His wallet was untouched, his watch still in the drawer. What? His voice cracked. What is this? Robbers don't leave everything. They don't move things a little at a time. They don't open folders on the bed. This wasn't theft. His fingers trembled as he picked up a paper from the floor. It wasn't even important, just an old receipt. But someone had taken the time to pull open the drawers, examine, sort, scatter. Fear tightened around his ribs. He grabbed his phone and immediately dialed Abzal. Busy tone. Of course, he exhaled shakily, pacing back and forth, trying to force his mind to work. He needed to call the police, but what would he even say? They hadn't stolen anything. They hadn't broken anything. They'd just invaded his space, his life, his sense of safety. His phone buzzed in his hand. It was an unknown number with Kazakh country code. He stared at the screen for 2 long seconds, then swiped to answer. Hello, his voice came out rough. A faint hiss of the line was heard, and then a voice. Male, low, unsteady, speaking heavily accented English as if translating in his head before speaking aloud. Listen carefully, the voice said. You will leave this place tonight. Go home while you still can. Do not stay in Almaty. Do not look for the child. It will become too difficult to get out later. The words were slow, deliberate, like someone reading a warning they had been told to deliver. Alexander froze, breath suspended in his chest. Who is this? He whispered. No answer. Who are you? What do you want? A soft exhale came through the line. Leave before it is too late. Then the call cut off. The silence afterward was suffocating. Alexander lowered the phone, staring at the dark screen as if it might light up again. His fingers tingled. He swallowed hard, feeling the tremor in his hands. He tried calling Abzal again, still busy. He pressed his palm against his forehead and paced the room, eyes darting from the scattered documents to the half-open door. This wasn't random, he knew it for sure. His throat felt tight as he forced himself to breathe deeply. He needed to think, he needed a plan. His phone buzzed again. Abzal was calling back. When he reached Abzal's office, he walked in without knocking. Abzal was standing by the desk, arms crossed. What happened? Alexander told him everything, how the door was ajar, how the apartment was disturbed, how the documents were scattered, the anonymous call. He spoke quickly, breathlessly, replaying each detail with growing urgency. Abzal listened without interrupting, his expression gradually hardening. When Alexander finished, silence lingered. So, Alexander said shakily, was that connected to Layla's family? Abzal inhaled deeply. Very possible. Possible? Alexandra's voice cracked. This is more than possible. Calm down, the lawyer raised a hand. Listen to me, this kind of intimidation, it happens here. Families try to scare off foreign spouses. They make it unpleasant enough that you give up custody. So it is them. I cannot say that legally. Abzal's voice was firm, steady. But yes, for your understanding, very likely. Alexander sank into the chair across from him, his heart racing. Doesn't this help our case? He demanded. If they're threatening me if they broke in, doesn't that show something? Can't the court see? No. Abzal's tone was almost apologetic. Alexander stared at him. Why not? You have no proof, no cameras, no eyewitnesses. Nothing was stolen and the call was anonymous. But we can trace the number. We will submit it to authorities. Abzal nodded. But they may take a little time to track it down, and even then they might claim it was spam or someone unrelated. Without solid evidence, the court will not accept it. Alexander pressed his palms to his face. This is insane. I warned you, the lawyer said softly. Their influence here is real. You must understand that intimidation does not strengthen your position. It can even be used against you. Alexander looked up sharply. Against me? How? They can claim you staged it, or that you are paranoid, unstable under stress. Courts here can interpret things any way they choose. A sickening heaviness filled Alexandra's stomach. Alexander massaged the back of his neck, frustration and grief tightening every muscle. But why break into my place? To rattle you, Abzal replied, to make you scared, distracted, emotional. A mistake here, one outburst, one confrontation, even a misinterpreted tone can be used against you. Judges may say you're aggressive or unstable, and if I leave, Alexander whispered, then she gets exactly what she wants. Yes, he leaned forward, so what do I do? We will continue with the legal steps we discussed, Abzal said firmly. We have filed the petition and the request for parental access. The court must respond, even if slowly. But understand this, the break-in, the phone call, these are not legal weapons, these are psychological ones. Alexander pressed his lips together. Max must be terrified. He must think I'm not looking for him. Abzal's expression softened. Children adapt quickly to whatever story they're told. Layla will not let him call you. She will drown him in attention to keep him quiet and cooperative. That makes it worse, Alexander whispered. I know, Abzal paused, but listen to me carefully now. Max needs you to stay composed. If you unravel, you lose access. If you lose access, you lose custody. And if you lose custody, Alexander shut his eyes. I might never bring him home. Exactly. Abzal continued in a lower voice. I cannot prove her family was behind the break-in, but I know this pattern. I have seen it before and I am well aware of it. That is what they want, for you to leave on your own and make their case easier. Alexander straightened. I'm not leaving. Alexander jiggled slowly, gripping the edge of the chair. So, what do I do now? For now, Abzal said, leaning back, you stay vigilant, you avoid confrontation. You keep everything documented, even if the court won't use it yet, and you do not go near Layla's family on your own. If they sense you are panicking, it benefits them. Alexander shook weakly. And Max, Abzal's expression softened only slightly. We continue the legal process, that is all we can do. Alexander barely slept again. He lay on the couch in the dim light of the rental apartment. Every sound in the building amplified, footsteps upstairs, a door closing far down the hall, the mechanical sound of a refrigerator. He kept replaying the call, the voice, the break-in. At 12:17 a.m. his phone rang. He jolted upright. Abzal, he answered immediately. Yes. I received confirmation, Abzal said, voice low. The number you gave me, it belongs to someone connected to Layla's extended family. A distant cousin, Alexandra's stomach dropped. So they really, yes, he paused, letting the weight settle. Not a close relative, but close enough that this wasn't a coincidence. Someone in her circle was watching you, watching your ways. And they wanted you to know they could reach you whenever they wanted. Does this help us? Alexander whispered. It can be used in the next hearing, Abzal said slowly. It shows a pattern of intimidation, but you must understand that the court may still say it is family misunderstanding. They protect locals, you have seen it now. Courts do not appreciate intimidation. If we present this properly, it shows a member of her family is interfering with the legal process, trying to scare you into leaving the country. That signals bad faith from their side, which could force the judge to question the reliability of their claims. It doesn't win the case for us, but it gives us leverage. Judges listen more carefully when there is evidence of manipulation. But listen carefully, Abzal continued, lowering his voice. The court is not obligated to act on this. They may say it's a family misunderstanding, or that the caller acted independently. They could even argue it's unrelated to the custody issue. And since the person is local, the system will instinctively protect them, so yes, we can use it. But be prepared, as the judge may try to dismiss it quietly, push it to the side, or advise both parties to simply avoid confusion. That happens more often than you think. Alexander leaned back against the couch, eyes burning. So, what am I supposed to do now? You stay careful, Abzal replied. Because now we know one thing for certain, that you are being watched, and if they think they can pressure you into returning to America without Max, they will try again. Alexandra's heart thudded painfully. I cannot believe this. I know, but for now do nothing impulsive. They can always claim you are the aggressor. A foreign man endangering their family, do you understand? Alexander closed his eyes. Yes, and Alexander, Abzal added quietly, this is only the beginning. They are trying to make you afraid, don't let them push you into a mistake. Alexander nodded, ending the call. He sat still for a long moment, letting the silence settle again. Then he stood, walked to the small kitchenette and prepared a cup of Moroccan tea, hands slightly trembling as he poured the hot water. The smell grounded him only a little. He sat at the table with his laptop open, typing into search bars. Custody cases, Kazakhstan foreign parent intimidation, international parental abduction legal rights. Court bias, local family influence stories. How to protect your child abroad, threats during custody cases. He read until his eyes blurred. All of it. Case summaries, old forums, legal blogs, stories, and whatnot. But one thing kept him awake through all of this. He wasn't giving up. He wasn't leaving without Max. And no warning call, no break in, no intimidation was going to change that.